See, in Sardis, they were built up, like many ancient cities, they were built up behind huge walls on a mountain, on a hill. That was a pretty good defensive strategy in the ancient world. And one side of the mountain was inaccessible because it was a cliff. At some point, that portion of the mountain had fallen away. So you only really had three ways to attack the city, and the backside was a sheer drop-off cliff that was jagged and rough, and it was unclimbable. And history tells us, the history written down by Herodotus tells us that in 546 BC, Cyrus the Great's Persian army was coming through, and it came to Sardis, which was utterly impenetrable, and the walls could not be come over, and the doors could not be bashed down. And he gave a challenge to his men, and he said that there would be a great reward for the first man to be able to climb and scale the rocks on the cliff edge. There was one man, brave as he was, named Heroides. And while he was watching the cliff face one night, guards all up over the walls, he saw a guard drop his helmet, one of the Sardis' protectors, drop his helmet and fall down the great cliff into the gully below. And he simply picked himself up, walked out of sight, and appeared in what was apparently a little secret nook and path on the cliff face. And so Heroides was standing back, and he saw lit by a little torch, this man walk all the way down the secret path down the cliff and collect his helmet and walk straight back up. And he sat there writing and illustrating and planning his attack. The next night, he and many Persians behind him climbed up that very safe, apparently secret path and walked into the city completely unguarded on that portion of town, and they opened the gate and sacked the city in their sleep. Now that's pretty embarrassing when you're a military, never conquered city. That happened 5,500 years before Jesus. It was so embarrassing that it became a bit of a byword. Like if you got conquered by a weaker person in the middle of the night, you did a Sardis. You know what I mean? Like we say that about some people every now and then. You get arrested for something embarrassing and horrendous. They've got an NRL star's name that they attach to that kind of act, right? You fall over in a kid's playground and broke your leg. You've done a Tom. That's what they say. You marry the most handsome, muscular man on earth. You've done a Joy. There's all sorts of ways we use this phrase. We use it, you've done a Sardis. They became a byword, like a joke in military history. And then it happened again. In the year, let me get the year right, in the year 200 BC, Antiochus's army was coming through, and they mounted ladders in secret at night. They built siege work and mounted ladders. How secret can you be with enormous cliff-size ladders? And yet they did it. They mounted ladders onto the side, but Sardis had not learned its lesson. They left that portion of wall completely unguarded because no one could get through it. So right at their strongest point, they were overthrown again as these men came into the city unguarded, opened the doors while there was another fake fight at the front gates. They simply came through, killed all the soldiers from behind, and opened the gates again. It happened twice. And so the language of Sardis, the idea of Sardis in military history became this idea of getting conquered at your strongest point, right on the thing that you have a reputation for being inconquerable by, was the very way that you have been conquered. And so it is that Jesus comes to the church of Sardis. I told the church plant last week, I don't know what they call people in Sardis, whether it's sardines, but that's what I was sort of going with, but Sardisians, I don't know. Jesus writes to the church in the city and says, your strong point, right, the cliff face on your defenses is your reputation. And it is precisely because you have the reputation of working hard that you have allowed yourself to go to sleep. And in your sleep, I will come to you like a thief in judgment, and I will bring my judgment against you.